The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, friends, and welcome on uh, the Connect Easy, our own platform created by you all. Uh, Today, we all met for the wonderful session on a very unique subject, and that is payroll as an services. So, so let me tell about this service and how we can go. I just want to give you a brief of that because the entire session will be taken by our faculty, CA Varun Nirmal sir. So payroll is in one of the very specialized area we can say, and the work nature is consist of basically attendance of staff and attendance, we can say, the absentee and the leave we have to put in the payroll system. So basically, in nutshell, what I would like to say is it's 2 3 days work, and you can charge for entire month, and per employees also you can charge. How to charge, what to charge, and how what laws is applicable, everything will be deal by CA Varun Nirmal sir. But the revenue is immense, and in that you will be helped by the technology. So the technology will again your work will be reduced to the greater extent. So would like to invite here also Suraj ji, Sanchita ji, Sayed ji from Reserve Pay team, who will showcase us the technology aspect of the payroll, entire payroll system. Even Varun ji is using, so how it will be helpful for our CA office or our firm, and how we can serve to the client. So in a 2 3 day work, we can charge entire month's revenue. So one of the great aspect of we can say we can add a revenue stream in our offices. So without wasting much time, we would like to introduce our today's faculty, a guest speaker, CA Varun Nirmal sir. Sir is having 20 years of experience, more than 20 years of experience. Sir is managing partner at Accotax Global Solution, specialized in global accounting, Indian taxation, Indian GAAP, US taxation, US GAAP, training for cloud accounting and in its implementation. So sir is a great profile as well, and a wonderful firm profile as well. So sir, if I miss anything, you can also tell about you and your firm. And with this word, we welcome you, sir. And thank you so much for accepting our invitation for this today's evening wonderful session. We are already live on YouTube and LinkedIn as well. So would like to request everyone to come on go to webinar as well for question answer session, because we cannot take a question answer for multiple forums. So now would like to request sir to take the proceeding ahead for our today's session. So over to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Virag, for inviting me. And at least whatever we have been doing on payroll side, which I feel particularly as a revenue stream, as we are as a chartered accountant firm, right? Primarily, most of the accounting professionals, we are at a crossroad wherein technology is now taking over many of the things, or even adoption of technology also at a massive scale across the globe. We have seen COVID proving that as well, how even we call like people who are on the little behind on the technology curve, they have also now been in the technology forum now. Now with that, I would like to share what I feel about payroll services, and would like to see how we can build practice as a revenue stream itself, because we see now many of these assurance businesses are also kind of moving away from or people moving away from assurance services, and with technology getting some of these mundane work done, we probably may get into this one. So are you able to share my screen? Are you able to see my screen right now?
Yes, sir. Screen is visible. Just
Perfect.
making as in slideshow mode, sir.
Yeah.
So it will be a better.
Oh, yeah. Okay. There you go. Okay. So hello, friends. Good evening, all, on a Friday evening. Today is actually in the next 40-45 minutes. What I'm probably going to cover in this session is what are the primary. See, we as an accounting profession, we need to know what are the key trends which are emerging across accounting profession across the globe, opportunity, and based on key trends, right, there would be implications and what is the opportunity for us in that way in the payroll. What are the general opportunities and what is the opportunity in the payroll? What are general services which can be provided and the related tax laws, and which we probably, as Virag already given a teaser on what are the things which we probably can do for a month or so. Why we should venture out into payroll services? There is some change which has happened in primarily in the budget, new versus old regime. Just one would touch base upon that because that is more related on the payroll side. Because as we go into payroll, we probably would getting into an advisory on whether for all the employees whether we go into a new regime or an old regime, and obviously technology should help on that one, and how to build a payroll practice, particularly what are the key components or guardrails which we should be looking for while building a payroll practice. Now, key emerging trends in the accounting profession, which I see first and foremost, is the rapid pace of technology adoption across businesses. When I say businesses, means among the clientele. Now, when we were doing internship, we had some manual books. People, the way clients were doing businesses was more restricted to a particular geography or a city or a geography. Now, geography has become history now. In fact, people are actually across, not only across India, pan India. Now, people are actually started put uh, uh, doing businesses across the world. Obviously, that is being powered by technology. Let's say if someone, we have clients wherein not only they are selling on, they earlier they were not able to sell, like we didn't have any clients who were selling on the online platform. Now the reach is more through Amazon or Flipkart. We haven't seen in 2004-5. I was not even aware about that. Okay, this the way businesses will adopt. The other example of that would be, and we have one client who's actually now selling on Amazon UK from India itself. So that is there. So, digitization, which obviously demonetization helped a lot in moving into digitization. But the way right now payment which are being collected or payment which has been done, so there are tools available. There is a technology. So businesses are now have adopted. Even we have seen that some of the panipuri, I mean, most of the panipuri walas are also taking through mobile only, through those QR codes or so. So adoption of technology is a massive, massive trend across the. So earlier, so since clients, businesses are our clients, so if they are actually adopting technology, we cannot, we as a professional cannot lag behind. We have to be, in fact, two steps ahead of that in putting in that one. So that is where we it is impacting us, or implication for us is that we also need to move forward and embrace more and more technology, tries ways to automation, which comes to my second point of the bigger trend which is coming is artificial intelligence and automation in accounting. Now we are seeing this, few of these you would have heard about chat gpt also, which is actually kind of the communication and the coding and some of these tasks which they are actually, you run a query and or you probably ask something on the search and they will actually give you an entire, let's say if I have to draft a question paper, it will actually draft a question paper for that one. I haven't tried about CA examination, but obviously I have tried, like, okay, there is, if there is a grade 9 paper or so to be set, it is setting up in that manner. So chat gpt is the latest revolution in AI. Apart from, but at the same time in accounting also, because if you see probably 2000, like 10 years back, or I would, if I put it flashback to 2000, where we were doing articleship at that time. At that point of time, the accounting in itself is that books were would be like we are, even I can relate that we are writing of a sales book. Then there is a purchase book and purchase register, that sales register, bank book, and all other stuff is there. But those were, we were actually, it was more about record keeping. Records were manual, business functions were manual, and now since the business functions has actually gone into a different all e-commerce platform, payment gateway, so all your data is now actually lying across different platforms, and those data can be, because they are all online on cloud, then because of that you can actually automate it, and there are companies who have actually started doing automation in accounting. So I feel that one of the biggest trend in future would be that bookkeeping may be eliminated. Bookkeeping may be eliminated because accounting, it would be getting fully automated. And uh, obviously there are certain things like artificial intelligence, so that is more on automated accounting. But artificial intelligence is like, if we, it is more about looking at the pattern, and that is what we do, right? If there is a payment to Vodafone or Airtel, then we put it in the telephone expenses. Or even there were certain applications which had some things about it, but it is more about applying a similar pattern or rule and putting it into those categories. So that is nothing but artificial intelligence. So that artificial intelligence is also getting into accounting right now, wherein if we are doing some 5 or 7 or 10 transactions which are more and more, I would say, uh, repetitive in nature, I mean, those can be solved through automation, and some of the things which are being done probably on a frequent basis, that can be in through applying artificial intelligence or the rule engine. It would be automated, and technology is massively helping across. In US, it has already, the revolution has started in terms of bookkeeping automation. So that's something which is the a bigger trend which is emerging, which I have seen in US and in India as well. India I have seen primarily in because of the startup sector and all. Now, if we see this, the third trend, right, role of accountant. As an accountant, when I say start accountant or finance professional, it is actually changing, moving away from assurance business to a advisory business. Gone are the days we actually always, we when we see the budget, we see that okay, tax audit limit has been increased from 5 crore to 10 crore now, or it was 1 to 5, 5 to 10 now. But GST audit not there, but most of the GSTR returns are getting automated or so. But does that mean that role of accountant is getting eliminated or chartered accountant is getting eliminated? Certainly not. In fact, the reason for that is because primarily role which a business owner, and this is actually one of the survey which was actually done in 2022 last year, early 2022 in February or so, by NASPA, that in fact now 81% of the business owners in the US are actually expecting their CPAs to be more like an advisors rather than just a tax preparer or a bookkeeper. They want like advisors, and here it has, the change has started here as well, that people, mostly the, let's say, the startup segment, and we are seeing some of the virtual CFO services which are demand of virtual CFO services and all that stuff, right? So they expect that okay, you be give me an advice, primarily work me as I work as a, we as a chartered accountant or finance professional, they want them to work more like an advisor or a financial CFO for them virtually, giving them advice on a, what is my cash burn, whether this should be what is my net run rate, what is my growth. So even though my revenue is increasing, but whether my cash flow is supporting or not, so those are the analysis which they want. And if the role of bookkeeping and other accounting and some of the compliances gets automated, we as chartered accountant, I feel that we would actually, many CA firms have actually moved into advisory services. With this automation, we would be probably forced into going into advisory service. So, and it's not that the chartered accountant are not giving advice. It is right time that we as a CA start charging for the advice, because right now advice, bookkeeping or compliances are tangible, advisory is intangible and free. But that is where the value is, in fact. So we so advisory, I mean, people may ask many things on advisory services or so, but we may be giving also, but we are not actually commoditizing it and packaging it and sending it like charging for it. So but this is the major trend which is coming in that way. And the fourth actually major trend which I see is on going global and one flat world. I think the world, COVID has so two things which are there, like primarily it is because of the last, in the last 10 years, technology adoption by businesses also has been at a massive pace, and also even COVID has also proved that the world, right? In fact, how it can spread across entire world. It is not that one, if you are one of the countries impacted means other countries not impacted. Similarly, in the businesses side also, we now, because businesses are worldwide. I'll give you an example in this one. So when I come from a small town in Gujarat. I mean, I'm in Bangalore right now, but I come from a small town. And during those my school days in 96, 97, so when we were my father and uncle, and they used to go to Vijayawada and some Chennai or Kolkata, and they had it like a trip for about 1.5, 2 weeks or so. They will go for some business and coming up. But for it was more like interstate during those 90s or so. It was like interstate was also a bigger business opportunity. That okay, Kolkata and now that, and the travel commute was like almost like 2 weeks or so. Now in 2 weeks time, what I have seen is, I have seen the client last week. He went last Wednesday or Thursday to New York and I think on the East Coast somewhere in the US. Came back in a week's time. He came back, but it was on a business trip for some meetings and other stuff. So now, because is on technology, and also the travel and logistic has become so accessible, that is where now, if you see world, right, world is like one country, and in that country these are different states only. Consider, if you put that mindset that these are different states, then that will be more easier from our side, because even the clients, we have clients who wants to open up in company in US, or some of them may want to open up in Dubai. We have seen like UAE is actually becoming another hotspot of businesses and other stuff, which so this world is actually technology has democratized entire world access, and we as a professional, I don't see why we as a professional cannot probably rule on this particular thing, because I mean, India professionals are certainly, I would not, without demeaning any other, but we are still more hardworking. And I was in a seminar, in one of the seminar, we have seen that primarily when we compare us with US or Australia CPAs, we are actually still are from, because our rigorous training is still our training is more rigorous than them. So this one flat world and going global, that is a bigger trend which is actually coming up. And lastly, in fact, is more about social media influence, and or about like as a right now, when we were going in seminars and many of these events, right, we our networking as a finance professional or accounting professional, we go on the uh, seminars and then do network and get some referrals, or so word of mouth spread across that, where we showcase uh, some meetings and get relationship, or actually networking, I would say. But now that network has actually moved into online, be it now Twitter or LinkedIn are the main source of Instagram and all other stuff are there, but that is more for personal. But Twitter, LinkedIn, these are primarily main sources where we actually, even Twitter, these are also become, because government is also adopting those social media platforms, or they have embraced it. Because of that, we are actually even most of our notifications and all are also posted there before the press release comes in. So these are 5 major trends which as I said, just to summarize, uh, the technology adoption by businesses, uh, artificial intelligence and automation in accounting, role of accounting moving away from assurance to advisory and going global, and social media. Social media is more about getting more network and kind of like influencing also, I would say. So with this, right, what is the opportunity in that? So there we know that there are many firms which traditionally has been, or traditionally, when I say the last 5 to or a decade, they have evolved most of the work being done in bookkeeping, accounting, and tax compliance services. I'm moving away. I have not categorically put in the assurance services, but it's more on what are the other opportunities in that. So most of the work is being done here. And when I say this, this is more global as well. You can consider this as not only just particular to India specifically. Now, if we see payroll and virtual CFO services are the next big opportunity which are there, and which would actually we move up in the value chain, but that would be only possible if we adopt technology, and technology primarily it is all powered through technology or tools and technology. Right? We are going to talk about payroll about on this one. We are actually right now in this coming slides. I'm talking about payroll. Now, let's see what are the payroll services primarily which are. Virag mentioned about timesheet management. Then obviously, if you see payroll is a on a kind of a 2 to 3 day job at the month end, or maybe mostly it is at the month end or in the month beginning. Some of the small firms do it on the first, but still it is, I would say it's like a couple of days or 1 to 3 depending 1 to 2 days job in a month end. What are the typical services which we provide is we can actually provide is services like monthly payroll, projected income tax computation and deductions, payroll. Obviously payroll when we are preparing, along with that there would be, because in India predominantly the payroll is more like, okay, I would have, if I am paying salary of 20,000 rupees, now people will just pay like 20,000 without okay, there is no tax deduction or so. But at the same time, when you are paying a salary, there are certain laws that, okay, you need to have professional tax deduction depending on the basic salary. Many people are not aware about it, but as compliances are becoming, as businesses and compliances are becoming more organized and stricter, so that is where because any business cannot pay salary without deducting professional tax, but there are clients who are actually just or businesses who are doing it. That is because of lack of awareness. It is not related to any of the kind of that avoiding it or anything, like, because they have to deduct from that, and the employee is going to take the deduction in that. So it's nothing like they are, it's just a compliance. But when you are paying, you need to give them the pay slips also. Unfortunately, the size of businesses which in India, some of the businesses, they are not, they are doing it only at when the need, on need basis. So let's say for example there are 10 employees or 5 employees in a small firm or a company, and they would be giving them the payroll, but the pay slips they would give only when if that person has to have a, if he goes for a home loan or some other credit card and those stuff, right, applications. At that point of time they are actually giving them a it's more like prepared or 3 months pay slips to be prepared. Having said that, the services overview in services, monthly pay slips is there. Professional tax computation, obviously professional tax computation has different it depends on basic and professional tax is more of a state purview, I would say. So Karnataka professional tax we have, Gujarat, or there is Maharashtra professional tax. It depends on basic salary and what is the basic salary up to 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, and more than 15,000. Then there is some 5. It's like 50, 100, 150, and 200. So professional tax is there. Provident fund, obviously provident fund also is only applicable once you have a threshold. But there are people who, now if you are forming a private limited company, your PF number is coming by default. You have actually a provident fund number also, but not necessarily that you contribute. People, provident fund is itself PF. Like there are each employee, it's will have a UN number. They need to we need to work out that, okay, there is a contribution, and now specifically employers, if we want employee want to put it a additional contribution or so, those are nuances are there. Predominantly if I see payroll, actually as a accounting professional, we many firms felt that it is a very low end and it's a mundane work which may not be exciting enough, or when I say from a remuneration or from a remunerative perspective, I would say, from a monetary perspective. But having said that, there are certain many compliances in that, as I already mentioned about professional tax, PF. There is ESIC also. ESIC is employee state insurance filing that is applicable to certain factories and restaurants and all those, where they have businesses and many businesses are not aware that, or restaurants are not aware that they need to take ESIC. They need certain guidance, and that is where our trend of first trend, which I mentioned, the third trend, is that moving away from assurance to advisory services, because this is, we would be going hand on hand with them on that. Employee expense reimbursement. Now, many of these corporates and startups, they have a sales and marketing team. They will be having customer research team. So they have certain expense reimbursement which needs to be done. Which actually, so in a way, TDS return, we are, I think a TDS return, many people are still doing it, but we are not actually putting it as a package of payroll, but we generally do on a quarterly basis. Form 16, group health, this is one other thing which has come up in that most of the small companies, right? Many of the corporates will take, bigger companies or MNCs, and they will take group health insurance. But there is no, for smaller companies, there was no health insurance as such available. But now technology has helped, wherein there are few startups who have come in where they are also providing group health insurance, employee wellness, and other programs as well. ESOP management, because if there are small startups, particularly when you are catering to startups or some IT companies, they would have ESOP. ESOP will get vested. How to treat that in the payroll, that is also one of the payroll services overview. So these are the, see, we may be only out of this, we may be only related to compliance. But if we see, apart from compliance, compliance is the end maybe. Form 16 and other, Form 16 also we may not be actually getting into this one, but only TDS returns and Form 16 is the only thing which probably we will be touching upon. But that is the end. But before that, there are many on a month-on-month services which are there related to payroll, time sheet, pay slips, professional tax, provident fund. These are all good recurring revenues in that one. Now, you may ask me that why payroll as a revenue stream. I'll put it in this way, that there are, payroll has a, first of all, it is a low barrier to entry. Reason being, there are now, because of technology and there are many cloud applications are there, it has made it extremely easy for even small businesses to also adopt it. Having said that, adopting payroll does not mean that there need to be someone who can run the payroll and ensuring that this payroll is right or so. So low barrier to entry, it is not that you need a bigger investment or anything on that one. So that is one. And second is established client base. Many of the accounting firms already have a payroll, like regular clients, maybe doing only GST, or maybe only doing not accounting, I would say, accounting or so, or maybe auditing clients. So to them, there is already an established client base where they can attract those clients to be moving into, and then it is a very growing segment, and particularly it's across globe, primarily in the US, UK, and there are, because of the compliances are little strict there and penalties are very high, it has become a more recurring business, or it has become like a part and parcel of one of the services we provide, because they say that okay, payroll as a service separately. While India also now with this rules getting more and more stricter, more transparency is also coming in. With that, this is a massive segment in terms of small businesses to medium businesses, where obviously bigger businesses will already have their own payroll thing. But when I'm saying about the, like, a segment which is unorganized right now, which is not maybe purely on Excel, or they might be doing on a need basis or so. And this is, as Virag also mentioned, it's a sticky service. It is more like a monthly revenue. It is only a sticky service wherein, because your client, right, it is more like on a ongoing basis, they will need every month this services. Now with this services, you probably may come in that so when with all these particular ongoing services, right? On stickiness is higher. Mostly when you are more used to it, right? You are knowing the payroll and the employees stuff or on that way. It may be difficult sometimes to migrate also from one service provider to other one, in case once we have established that relationship in that way. So it's a monthly revenue, as earlier also Vishak mentioned, that it's a monthly revenue where apart from bookkeeping and accounting, if you want to venture out into that, or like GST filing may give you 1 month like monthly revenue, but this is actually a guaranteed, like, because payroll accounting is also payroll processing, and then there is a payroll accounting also, payroll accounting on that. So what you may be doing is, on the accounting side, you may be doing only payroll accounting, wherein you will get the slips and you will pass a journal entry. But here is actually, why not you get into the entire thing, so that it is more better, because payroll processing, and there are tools available where tools will do the accounting for in itself only, so you don't need to do accounting. So that is the advantage of technology, that there are many of the tools will help you do the accounting for that. I'll briefly touch upon on that, on just on the view. And this is, I am actually, because all of us here are finance professionals, so I'm kind of preaching the choir, but just repeat. I will also say that repetition doesn't ruin a prayer. So this is actually the new tax regime versus old tax regime. Now, what happened is, now on from financial year 23-24. 3 lakh rupees, 3 to 6, 5, I think 6 to 9, I would say. So there is a typo. 9 to 12 and 12 to 15 and above 15. These are the rates where 5, 10, 15, 20 and 30% of that. Now, from 1st April 2023, the new regime would be the default regime, and old regime we have to actually specifically opt for. So up to 2.5, which we are actually doing it, 2.5 to 5 and 5 to 10 and about 10. So that is the regime which we have to opt for. Only the main change which has happened is that, okay, it has become more lucrative. There is a standard deduction has been given in that also. But major change is that it has been right now, it was for financial year 22-23, old regime is by default, you have to opt for a new regime. Now 23-24, it would be new regime only by default, and you have to opt for old regime if you want to actually. Now we discussed that why payroll as a revenue stream, because of the few like lower barrier to entry, there is a stickiness, there is a monthly revenue on that due to that, and also along with that you have it's a growing segment on that one, and which you can already, as a finance or a accounting professional, we have clientele where we can actually pitch this one and start a new revenue stream. It's more like that, okay, the gold is lying there, we just need to remove some of the things and start approaching on that. Now, how to build a payroll practice primarily, I would say, in fact, it may be for any other practice as well. If we want to build a virtual CFO practice also, it may be a similar lens we need to put it. The guardrails for that is that we actually adopt tools for all the functions, including accounting, audit, and compliances, which is true for payroll as well. So we select the tools which are like payroll portal, which has a little better payroll portal, where we can give client also access and flexibility in terms of roles and other stuff on what are they doing. I mean, what client can do, what we can do. So that is one. Build actually obviously team would be near. Tools would be there, but tools has to be in the supervision of some staff, because and that's where I say, even if many people will say that, okay, it would be fully automated or other stuff there, so automated, but there would be at the end of the day someone would be needed, otherwise it can become like a chaos, or it will become more like chaotic. So obviously it should be in the supervision of some staff. So we need to actually, a bookkeeper for bookkeeping or accounting team, we need to have payroll specialists are there, where they are only the point of contact. So one person, if we are actually assigning 10 clients, so they would be working only on those 10 clients, and because they will become more point of contact for employees and owners and directors and other stuff, and they would be knowing more about the TDS payment, or maybe DDS returns or so, or Form 16s, or even regular addressing the queries of the staff of that one, which is basically client staff or employees, I would say. And then there would be teams build like have more, and this is most of the challenging part would come here only in the first two because technology has helped us, and in our case we have been lucky enough to actually, so we are also using, so we do payroll for UK clients, for US clients, and for India clients also. For on the UK we use QuickBooks Payroll, and here in US we are using Gusto, and in India we are using RazorPayX. So once we identify the tools, of post that we actually build and identify the team or assign those team members who are actually going to be more specialist in that. Payroll also need to have payroll specialist, and then we tap upon that, okay, out of 100 120 clients, which are the type of clients which we want to cater it. Now there would be clientele between 0 to 50 or 0 to 20 employees, or 20 to 100 employees, 100 and 250 employees, and more than 250 employees. Most of the 200 and plus employees, or I would say 150 200 employees, they may be using some, or they may be having in-house team also. So clientele having less than 100 employees may be the best to target, or even less than 50. So between 10 to 50 employees are the best targets. So we can actually identify small clients, medium clients, big clients, and then start approaching in. So we need to determine some pricing model wherein we give them a bundle price, or there may be some unbundled price wherein per employee costing or so. But most likely we give them the bundle price, wherein we also factor in the tools cost or any other stuff as well. It can be. And once we do that, we start creating awareness among clientele. So we start communicating about that, about the payroll services. So this is how 5-point approach we actually did: the tools, team, uh, and then identifying or segmenting the client, and identify which type of client to focus on, pricing model, what should be the pricing we see, and then start creating awareness about it. So that's how we build a payroll practice. So in a nutshell, if you see on a final thought, right, payroll, because of the key trends which we are actually seeing, wherein people are moving away from assurance businesses to advisory business, and also globally also, like how I mean, use of artificial intelligence and technology adoption being by businesses being at a massive pace, we probably as a chartered accountant also need to pivot ourselves and see that, okay, these are the only services which we want to provide, or we want to venture out into new practices. Payroll, there are certain things like, okay, there may be certain other things which may be related to virtual CFO services also, but which are the services which we can be pickpocket and started on that. That is where I would say that payroll is one of the segment which can still work as an isolation without actually even getting involved in the full accounting piece as well, if you don't want to get in. So that's how I would put at it. Any questions are welcome on that one. Yeah. Virag, over to you. Yeah.
Thank you so much,
very
sir.
much. Yeah.
So people asking, sir, what exactly they have to do in a payroll function. So that is the question.
Okay, so primarily in a payroll function, when we are providing payroll, when as a service, right? Just like in accounting, we are actually preparing books of account like ledger, trial balance. So we are recording sales, purchase, and banking, and doing bank reconciliation, and then entering into preparing profit loss and balance sheet. In payroll services, we have to work primarily with HR, getting the timesheets and new employee onboarding. So there would be, every company would have some new employee joining. Their salary structure needs to be designed on what is many times which are designed, but they may take your advice on that. So designing the salary structure, they're reviewing their timesheet, and based on the timesheet, preparing a monthly payroll. The payroll sheet based on uh, payroll sheet would depend on what employees have, what is their gross salary, what is their PF contribution, what is their PT deduction, and what are the other documentation which they, if they are putting out in the, if they are opting for old regime, what are the other deductions which are available. So primarily on a month-on-month basis for each employees, we need to prepare their payroll. When I say payroll, means what is their gross salary, what is their deductions, and what is their net take home, and what would be the TDS. So to design and devise that, obviously we may take the help of software also. Uh, uh, so because if there was no, imagine there was no software 15 years back, then people would have put it in Excel. If there were like 25 years back or 30 years back also, if there were no software, people would have put it in paper. Software is enabling us so that we can actually serve more clients in that way. So to do that, so to answer the question again in that way, is that we prepare payroll service. Payroll services we exactly need to do it on a month-on-month basis. Prepare their payroll computation. What is each employee's gross salary, net TDS deductions, PF deduction, PT, and net take home. Process that and put it into their bank account, obviously with the help of bank account if we are having, or we upload it on bank, or we use some tools or so, and then generating the pay slips, giving them the pay slips to employees, and depositing the TDS and filing the TDS and PF returns. That's how we would do it in there.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Now I think we can invite
Yeah.
Sanchita ma'am. Sanchita ma'am, are you there? Meanwhile, would like to request all the attendees to ask their question and post their question in the question tab. We'll take one by one. So Suchita ma'am, partnership option we are sharing soon. The Sanchita ma'am is about to explain the same.
Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Great.
Ma'am, you can share your screen as well.
Yeah, 1 second.
And you can on your camera as well, ma'am. So any other question from the participant side, would like to request all the participants to post their question in the question tab. We'll take one by one. Sanchita ma'am, please share your screen.
Yeah. Just a second, I need to change some settings.
So friends, please wait. Sanchita ma'am is sharing screen and showing the technological tool which will helpful for the payroll as a service. You have to just put few data, and after that few click, the entire payroll is ready. On few clicks, the salary is credited to the employee's account as well, and the accounting also will be made proper. So all the things will be very smooth and easy with the help of technology. So yes, Praveen ji, we are showing that as well. Praveen ji's question is, if there's any particular good payroll software, kindly suggest the name. So yes, we are sharing the same.
Hey Virag, this is Suraj. I am along with my colleague Sanchita from Razorpay. I think we have some difficulties in terms of um, sharing a screen. By any chance, Virag, you have access to Razorpay X Payroll dashboard?
I will share with you or Sayed if you can tell. I don't have as of now.
Okay. Syed, are you there?
You have to just click on the share screen and it will be done.
Yeah, I'm just
Very smooth for Varun sir also.
Yeah, I think.
It's our internal system preferences locked, so we don't have this option to select.
Sanchita, meanwhile, you can explain the possibility of the partnership and the
Yeah.
offerings.
Yeah, so Suraj is working on the screen sharing part. Meanwhile, hey folks, so to give you all a brief understanding of Razorbake's payroll, right? So the idea is to automate the payroll and handle the statutory payments around that. So every month you have payroll processing to be done towards employees, right? And along with that comes your statutory payments, which is say paying your TDS, PF, PT, ESI, monthly payments, and the quarterly filings. So usually these are the manual tasks which happens on either Excel or on any tool, right? But with Razorpay Payroll, we are able to automate these payments. So when I say automate these payments, we'll be literally going ahead and paying these payments on your government portal, on the client's government portal, right? So all the compliances gets paid out within a click, right? So you'll not have to manage a lot of Excel. Say you're managing your salary somewhere, compliance is somewhere, and every month by 7th of the month or 15th of the month, you are just refreshing your government portal to make these payments, right? All of this will be taken care of by Razorpay Payroll, right? Yep. So we have the screen here. One second.
And this is the screen shared by me, Virag
Hmm.
here. And this link also we have shared in the chat box and in the question tab as well at both the places.
Yeah. So, will it be possible for you to quickly create this account, sign up?
I don't have actually. You can tell me whatever I will
Yeah, just
post
put in
here.
a name. You can just put in your name. This will also help the participants understand that how easy it is to create an account on Razorpay Payroll.
Ma'am, you can tell the details. I don't have my details as of now. I don't want to give my detail. So you can give your detail or any dummy details and I will just fill for you because you are not able to share the screen. So I will do for you, but you have to just give the details.
Okay, just a second. You can maybe then type. Huh.
Do I have access to share my screen?
Who is speaking? I will share immediately.
with the site. I don't think so you'll be able to share your screen, man. I tried a few things.
Yeah.
I can do. Suraj ji or Sayed ji?
Okay.
Can
So,
you extend the access for me, Virag, once? Let me give it a try from my side.
Suraj?
meanwhile,
Yes.
Who I have to share? Suraj or Sayed?
Suraj.
I have done that.
yeah. Meanwhile, what I'll do is I'll add you to my demo account, Mr. Virag, so that you get an access to share my demo account.
Yeah. By any chance, is my screen visible to you all?
Please share again.
I think I tried. No, Virag, I don't think I have an access.
Please
Okay, I
try
think,
again. Yeah, we
yeah,
can see your screen.
awesome,
Please
great.
continue.
Okay, my screen is visible, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, sorry for the last minute technical glitch. I will try to cover some of the benefits of Razorpay X Payroll. And thanks a lot for Varun Nirmal for giving us a quick walkthrough of the benefits of using, the benefits of offering payroll as a service, especially for the chartered accountants, right? So we at Razorpay have a bunch of products. When people hear about Razorpay, they see this company as more of a payment gateway company, right? In terms of doing the payment collection from the end customers. But we are much bigger than that. We also have Razorpay X as a platform on which you have an option to get access to the neobanking, also the Razorpay X vendor payouts. Payroll is one of the platform that comes under Razorpay X, right? Payroll is one of the platform within X. So we'll try to deep dive into some of the benefits of using Razorpay. Um, so this is how the Razorpay X Payroll dashboard will look like, a very simple and straightforward platform. You may have come across, let me try to close the other tabs that I have. Yeah. So if you have seen some of the other payroll platform, it's always quite complicated, and you may have so many options on a single screen. That is something we have simplified on our platform. We kept it very simple, and we have considered how can we keep it very simple for our users in order to execute payroll on a month-on-month, right? The first step in any payroll process is employee onboarding. Let's say you have a client you would like to onboard on Razorpay X Payroll. The first step is, yes, of course, you need to create an account for the client. And as soon as you have access to Razorpay platform, the next step is to addition of employees to the platform, right? Let's say the client that you have added onboarded to Razorpay X Payroll has about 9 different employees, right? We have kept the employee onboarding very simple on Razorpay X Payroll platform. So there are two options how you can kickstart employee onboarding. The first one is, if you go to people, you have an option to invite your employees one by one, right? All you may need to do is, let's say I would like to add CA Virag, right? I input the name of an employee. For you then you need to input the email ID. For now, I'm just using one of the dummy email ID for testing purpose. Let's say the date of hiring is Jan 1st. You key in the hiring date. Let's say job title is finance head. Finance head, department is finance. You also have an option to choose the manager, right? Because each and every employee would be tagged to a manager. So you start with mapping an employee to the manager, and then you need to input the annual CTC, let's say 25 lakhs. You may also need to choose the location of an employee. This is primarily for professional tax purposes, right? So based on the location, the professional tax would get calculated month on month, right? So you may proceed ahead with continue. As soon as you complete the initial sign up of an employee would receive an email from our side saying that their profile has been successfully created on Razorpay X Payroll, and then an employee can log in to fill up the rest of the other basic informations, right? So as an admin, right, as a chartered accountant, I can send across these invites to all the employees that I have, and the same can be tracked under the employees tab, right? So under people, you have multiple tabs where you can keep a check on your list of active employees, the payroll employees, right? In some companies, you may come across employees. In some companies, you may have a requirement where they work with a lot of contractors, or let's say freelancers. They may not come under the month-on-month payroll. Instead, they may come under more of a one-time payments, right? So you can categorize their profile under contractors. Dismissed are the ones, basically, the list of employees who have been dismissed from a company. So you have a clear view in terms of how many active employees, freelancers or contractors, and the number of employees that got dismissed. If you would like to say onboard a bigger clients, let's say tomorrow you have spoken to one of your clients who have about 200 employees, it may not be possible for you to add these employees one by one, right? Considering the administrative work and the time and efforts that goes in. So you can keep it very simple. We have an onboarding template. You may simply download this template, fill up the employee's basic informations, and then re-upload the file, right? So in a single go, you will have an option to onboard 100 to 200 employees, right? So once the employee onboarding is done, then comes the compliance part. Let's say we are talking about a company with 50 employees, right? As per the norms, they should be fall under the compliances of professional tax, PF, and ESI, right? And it's very important to do these registration under an employee profile. We just added CA Virag on this account. So if I go to this particular profile, you have a bunch of, because when we added this employee profile, we basically added very basic informations, right? So you can go to an employee profile to update more information. For an example, bank account details, right? The PAN, IFSC code, account number, and so on. So Razorpay X Payroll takes the liability of not only the calculation of salaries month on month, we go one step ahead in terms of doing the salary disbursement. We also take liability of the compliance payments, PF, ESI, professional tax, right? So you can take benefit of those using Razorpay X Payroll. So you have an option to fill up the account number and IFSC code. Then comes the compliance part. Let's say for Provident Fund, I click on edit. We spoke about an example where this company has about 50 employees, right? So this employee wants to opt in for PF. Usually or traditionally what happens is you may need to have an accountant who goes to the PF website, log in with the client's PF credentials, and then do the PF registration for a specific employee. That complete process can be automated using Razorpay X Payroll, right? Without going to without going to PF website, I have an option to do the PF registration of an employee within the dashboard itself. So I have opted in for PF, and if I know the UAN number, I can simply update it on an employee profile. You also have an option to choose PF wage calculation, right? At some companies, some of your clients may would like to restrict the PF calculation up to 1,800 per month. Some of your clients may not want to restrict PF contribution up to 1,800 per month. So you have a flexibility to switch between these options, right? Similarly, you have an option to choose and disable the professional tax. For whatsoever reason, if they would like to disable PT, they can do it. So the same logic is even applied for ESI. If you have a client where they have employees who are getting paid less than 21,000, as per the norms, you may also need to do the ESI registration for such employees. The same process can be automated here itself, right? So you do the basic settings. In this particular case, for CA Virag, I have opted in for PF. I have updated the PF UAN number. I may just need to choose other bunch of basic information in order to complete the registration successfully within Razorpay X Payroll, like the date of birth, date of joining, and the Aadhaar number. Once you have filled up these information, you may just need to request for PF addition, right? So when you talk about your clients who are having an employee count of about say 300, 400 employees, right? It's more of a time consuming task for your team members to go to the PF website and do this registrations manually. So that headache can be offloaded using Razorpay X Payroll, right? So this is how we help our chartered accountants to facilitate setting up their Razorpay X Payroll account along with the other works like PF and ESA registrations. I would also like to touch upon the ESI registrations. So if I click on the same compliance part, we have an option wherein we can automate the complete ESI registrations. Let's say for this particular employee profile, I would like to have an option to enroll for ESI. If an employee already has an ESI number, I can fill it up over here. If not, I have an option to kickstart the entire registration within the Razorpay X Payroll, right? So these are some of the requirements you may keep hearing from your clients. I have added 10 employees this month. I would like to get their PF and ESI registrations. Instead of you doing it on your own on the PF or ESI website, you have an option to do it within Razorpay X Payroll, right? So the first step is creating an account. Second is adding the employees. Third step is setting up their compliance profile. Once these three processes have been completed, right, it becomes quite easy for you to look at the month-on-month payroll calculation. For an example, let's say we are on 24th of March. I would like to take a look at March payroll numbers, right? So we have a dedicated option for that on Razorpay X Payroll. I may go to Pay Employees. Under Pay Employees, you have an option called Run Payroll, right? So I have an option to choose the payroll month. So since we are looking at March payroll, I need to choose the specific month on the screen. So I have about 3 employees who are eligible for payouts, right? So I have Anuj, CA, Virag, and one more employee. So in every payroll process, you may have some additions or deductions. This may be depend on the attendance, the number of leaves an employee have taken, or it could be the sales incentives and so on and so forth. So you have a complete flexibility in terms of doing those additions and deductions within Razorpay X Payroll page. Let's say for CA Virag, this gross pay is calculated based on the annual CTC I have updated on his profile. So let's say CA Virag has completed 1 month with the company, and I would like to give him a joining bonus of 1 lakh. So I can simply choose edit, and here I have an option to say, to add a label. I can say joining bonus of say 1 lakh, right? Then comes the say sales incentive, for an example. I can add another 10,000 whatsoever. Similarly, if you like to do a deduction, you can directly key in the deduction amount, right? You also have an option to add remarks. Let's say if you would like to add any other remarks for the deduction purpose. Let's say deduction amount is 5,000 and the remark is loss of pay in March, and the same is deducted in March payroll. So you have an option to include for what reason there is a deduction, and you may simply proceed further, and the respective changes would take place on the payslip. And the best part here is you have, before even you roll out the payroll and the salary transfers, you have an option to preview an employee payslip. Let's say for whatsoever reason I would like to look at CA Virag's payslip. So if I click on the gross pay, I will be redirected to a web payslip where I will have an option to take a look at the earnings, right? And you may have a question, is there a flexibility in terms of to define the salary structure? Yes, of course. For each and every one of your clients, you have an option to change the basic. We usually have a standard template where basic is 50% of an income, house rent allowance is 25%, and another 25% is towards special allowance. So you have a flexibility in terms of changing these numbers as per your client needs. Then comes the deduction. Since I have opted in for PF for CA Virag, I have an option to include those PF employee and employer contribution as part of the deduction. Then comes a detailed TDS calculation, right? Since this employee joining date was 1st of March, the earning is just 3,11,000 in this particular case. So this is a like basic calculation in terms of how TDS is calculated based on the income, based on the tax declarations and so on. Then comes the net pay, right? So if I download this is a preview of the payslip, how employees would be able to see as soon as the payroll has been successfully processed through Razorpay X Payroll, right? Pretty much the same, but it's with a different format. So employees have an option to look at their web payslips, also to download it as per their needs, right? So we have considered payroll for the month of March. Now comes the interesting part in terms of finalizing it and initiating salary transfers through the platform. So I have 3 employees. I have made all the deductions and additions, and I have cross-checked the data. Everything looks correct. Now you may just need to simply go ahead with finalize payroll. So once you click on finalize payroll, our system will show you the amount, the payroll amount, right? Including how much is the net pay, how much should be loaded for PF and for other compliances. So in this particular case, the payroll amount turns out to be this much. Let me go to settings and make some changes. Payments and compliance setup. By the way, these are the list of payments that we support using Razorpay X Payroll. That includes salary transfers to employees' bank account, payments to contractors, as I've mentioned earlier, if you work with freelancers and contracted-based employees. Then comes the TDS payments, right? If you have employees who are getting paid more than 5 lakhs, TDS should be calculated and deducted, right? So we take liability of such payments. Non-salary TDS payments are applicable for contractors. Let's say you make a payout of 1 lakh, you may want to deduct tax code 194J tax code at 10%, right? Let's say you are making up payouts to your to any vendor. So if you would like to do non-salary TDS payments, that is also something we support on X Payroll. And the other basic compliances like PF, ESI, professional tax payments and filings. So you have a flexibility in terms of which payments you would like to turn on and turn off on Razorpay X Payroll, right? So I have opted in pretty much all the payments for my account. I proceed with continue. Now let me go back to the same run payroll option. Now you see, right, earlier it was only 7,000 because I have not opted in for the salary transfers. With the right settings, I have finalized payroll for 3, and the payroll total expense when it comes to payroll turns out to be 4,27,000. Now this includes 4,19,000 of net pay, PF employee contribution, and the admin charges, right? Some EDLI and admin charges are applicable for PF. So that is also something we manage using Razorpay X Payroll, right? So now that you know, you have the list of employees onboarded on the platform, you have done your basic calculations, you have finalized it. Now you would like to disburse these payments using Razorpay X Payroll, right? So traditionally speaking, what happens is most of the chartered accountants, they stop it here, right? They will download a salary register and then they will circulate the salary register with their clients. Then the clients will use the salary register to do salary transfers using their banking system. They upload a CSV file and all the employees will get their amounts credited to their salary account. Then the client's finance team may do the compliance payments with regards to PF, ESI and so on, or the chartered accountant would take the liability of PF, ESI and other compliances. So we would like to bridge the gap and we will take the liability of all the compliance along with the salary transfers. So there are multiple options how you can load funds to Razorpay X Payroll account. If I go to dashboard, on the dashboard, we have an option called update balance, right? So once you click on update balance, you will have your bank account details visible. And this is unique for each and every Razorpay X Payroll account that is being created. So you may just need to add these bank account details as beneficiary, and you may need to load the funds. Let's say in our case, for the month of March, the payroll expense was somewhere around 4,50,000. So you can transfer 4,50,000 from your current account to Razorpay X Payroll account, right? So, and it happens pretty much on a real-time basis. Once you have made the transfer within about 30 minutes, if it is the first time, the recurring transactions would get credited on an instant basis, right? So in my Razorpay account, I already have a balance of 12 lakh, out of which my payroll expense turns out to be only 4,27,000. Everything is good to go from my side, so I may simply request for execution, right? So once I click on execute payroll, all the 3 employees that I have on my Razorpay X Payroll account will get their salary amount credited to their bank account, because we have their bank account details on an employee profile, right? So the money gets triggered to the respective employee's bank account. We take liability of the other compliances, right? So the TDS payments will happen on or before 7th of every month. PF, ESI, and professional tax payments will happen on or before 15th of every month, right? So no more headache for me in terms of going to the TDS website and doing the payments, and going to the PF and ESI website and doing the payments manually, right? On a single platform, I can manage my employee's profile, do the calculations, generate payslips, initiate salary transfers along with the compliances. And the best part here is, as an admin, I have an option to look at a bunch of various reports for various reasons. So salary register is something would be very helpful to look at whether the calculation is correct or wrong, right? Also to get an estimation of how much would be a payroll expense month on month, not only for the current month, but this applies even for the previous month, right? I can go back to even for the month of Jan and look at what was the salary register. Then comes the ledger report. It pretty much captures all the list of transactions that has taken place in your account. As you can see it over here, we did a bank transfer to Razorpay along with the status and UTR number, right? As soon as we credit salaries to your employee's bank account, the ledger report would have those informations. Which employee got how much, what is the status of the payment. If it is a success payment, you will also have the UTR number. So you will have more visibility in terms of what's going on in your account, because in any payroll process, most of the HR representatives or payroll executives would get surprised, right? When an employee says, I have not got my salary. So that's when they start deep diving into it. So here we follow more of a proactive approach. So you have a visibility that I have done payroll for 3 employees, whether it's a successful or not, right? So for whatsoever reason, if employees ask for the status, you can always give them the UTR number. Under ledger report, you can play around with multiple filters that we have. You can in fact keep a check on your contractor payments, compliance payments separately, right? Another interesting report would be the compliances, right? So month on month, since we take liability for a lot of PF, ESI, and PT payments, unfortunately, I don't have those challans over here. But once we have completed the PF and ESI payments, those respective challans will get uploaded on this particular report. So you may simply download these challans and validate whether it is correct or not wrong. Similar to PF ESI, you also have an option for TDS, right? Month on month, something like this would be visible for PF and ESI, right? So if you go to TDS payments under reports, you have an option to take a look at the challans. Basically an acknowledgement of a successful payments that we have made, right? And you also have a detail, whether is it for salary payments or is it for non-salary payments. We also take liability of 24Q filings along with 26Q, right? As you all know that once in a quarter filings needs to be made. Since we take liability for the tax payments, we also facilitate the filings on a quarterly basis. So you have an option to look at those attachments as well, right? So it becomes quite easy for you to manage payroll for your clients, because traditionally speaking, a lot of chartered accountants or any other HR consultancy firms may not looking into payroll seriously, because it takes a lot of time and it requires a lot of administrative work, and it leads to a lot of manual errors, which these are the things are pretty much solved on Razorpay X Payroll, right? You have a quite simple platform which takes care of pretty much the calculation along with the payments. So we have seen a different type of customers, partners who were managing payroll maybe for 2 or 3 clients, considering the time and efforts it takes. With the help of Razorpay X Payroll, they were able to scale up their number of clients on payroll to up to 10 to 15, right? Then we have separate set of partners who are not offering payroll as a service, considering the simplicity of the platform, they started offering payroll as a service, because of which they were able to increase their client base along with the revenue month on month, right? Apart from payroll, you also have a bunch of other features, right? Like one-time payments. So this one-time payments, let me give you an example, right? A use case. Let's say a company follows a concept where payroll happens on 1st of every month, but for their sales team, they do incentive payouts on 15th of every month, right? That's how they function. So in such cases, you can do payroll on 1st, as we saw under run payroll. And for one-time payment, you can simply say, let's say Anuj is my sales, he is part of my sales team, and I would like to give him a incentive on 15th of the month. And I can say sales bonus, sales incentive March, or let's say for Feb. And you also have an option to choose whether is it a taxable income or not. And you have a bunch of options, right? Whether you would like to deduct the TDS in a single month, or you would like to prorate along with the salary TDS for the rest of the month, right? So you choose either of these options and add. So the payment will get scheduled, right? So you can schedule multiple payments like these, and the sales incentives, not only sales incentives, it could be your joining bonus or appraisal or whatsoever, right? Or reward and recognition. You may want to roll out an offer to employees. If they achieve the target, then they may have incentives to gain for. So one-time payment is primarily for those use cases. We also manage advance salaries, right? You can let your employees know that they don't need to wait till end of the month for salary to be credited if they have any emergency expenses. So they always have an option to request for salary advance, right? And we have that option for employees to initiate the request, or I can initiate a salary advance on behalf of an employee. Let's say for CA Virag, I would like to give a salary advance of say 75,000. And every month you have an option whether you would like to deduct 75,000 in a single month, or you would like to do it on a month-on-month basis. So let's say I would like to deduct 25,000 for the next 3 months. I put it under EMI, emergency advance payment, right? March. So I can add to this pending payment. So we will have a record that this particular employee was credited with an advance salary of 75,000. In March payroll, 25,000 will get deducted, and the same 25,000 will get deducted in April and May, right? So it will enhance employees' experience in terms of requesting for advance well in advance, right? We also support reimbursements. I mean, pretty much all the businesses would let their employees to claim for reimbursements for various business expenses, right? So any reimbursement requests that are coming in from employees will be visible to admins under these two different tabs, right? It comes for approval. Once it is approved, it will be lined up for the payments. I will touch upon reimbursements a bit later, more in detail. We'll begin with the contractor payments, right? Earlier we spoke about how employees can get their payroll, using the run payroll options. Similar to run payroll, we also have pay contractors as an option. In my account, I have good number of contractor payments. Let's say Aman is one of my contracted based employee, and I would like to give him a payout. So I may go to pay contractors, click on payments, and type in the name Aman. So I'll say, okay. Let's say again, I will consider Anuj. If it is contractor based or vendor based payments, I also have an option to choose an invoice, right? So I can choose an invoice and say, I can schedule these payments well in advance. That's the best about this platform. Let's say I want to initiate this payment on 28th, but I can schedule it today itself. Then comes an option. Let's say if you're paying to your landlord, right, which is a recurring expense month on month. So you have an option to repeat these payments weekly, monthly, and so on. Let's say this is more of a single payment of 1,50,000. If you would like to include the GST sales taxes, you can include it over here, and you can add the remarks. Payment due for Feb, right? Under the settings earlier, I showed about non-salary TDS, right? So this is what I was referring to. Let's say I have taken more of a professional service from my contractor, and I would like to deduct TDS at 10% under 194J. I can choose the radio button here, and I can proceed further, right? So once I click on pay, I can take a look at the summary of the payment. So 1,35,000 will be credited to Anuj, and the remaining 15,000 will be kept on hold, and the same will be initiated under non-salary TDS, right? And the same challan will also be visible under the reports. So I can confirm the payment, and the payment has been scheduled. So you as an admin have an option to schedule multiple payments, and you can also keep a track of the upcoming payments, right? We have seen some use cases wherein employees are being hired as a contractor, maybe for the first 3 months, and such contractors may also do a lot of expense on behalf of the company. So hence, we have extended reimbursement option even for the contractors, right? And this is a settings that you can turn on or off as per the need of your clients, right? So reports, we spoke about it. There are a bunch of reports which you can look into, right? I have primarily covered some of the basic reports which would be very helpful and powerful in terms of keeping a track of what's happening within an account. Variance report is basically to keep a track of the expense that happens month on month, along with the number of employees that are being added, right? So you may have a question in terms of, since Razorpay Payroll is taking liability of salary transfers, and we saw how we manage that, right? Because we have a record of employees' bank account details on their profile. So very simple, we have their bank account details, we do the payments in bulk using NEFT or IMPS. You may have questions around how we take liability of TDS payments, right? So if you go to company details, you have an option to look at the external credentials. So this is where most of the magic. Yep.
We have a few questions from the participants, like
Sure.
what is the cost of the software, and what are the maximum number of earning and deduction head are allowed? Can we download the detailed statement in Excel sheet? And also, do we have an option in Razorpay to add multiple clients under one license? So few questions are there, and would like to request participants to, if there are any more questions, they can post in the question tab, so that we can have a two-way communication and not only a one-way. We can have an interactive session rather. And one more question, Surajji, we have received. What about data security? So please address all these questions as well, and continue your session, Surajji. Over to you.
Sure, Virag. So what I will do is I will try to wrap things up in the next 5 minutes, and then we can get into the Q&A.
Sure.
I'll try to answer most of the questions there. So I was referring to how we manage the compliance payments, right? So under the company details, there is an option for you to update your username and password for TDS. And then PF, right? Same logic. So we basically consider the username and password of your clients, and using these credentials, we have an option to facilitate the payments in bulk, right? So it's more of API driven payments with the help of manual efforts and a little bit of API. We have an option to kind of take care of the compliance payments month on month, right? So we have your employees' bank account details. We have your clients' username and password of various compliance accounts. So with the help of integrations, we manage pretty much all the payments on our own, right? I would like to touch upon some of the benefits an employees would get, right? So it's more of a same dashboard which can be accessed by both employees and also employers, basically the admins who manage X payroll account. So when an employee login, right? If I log into Razorpay X payroll as an employee, I will have options only to the top given options as I have highlighted on my screen, right? Employees will not have an option to the admin options, right? So because admin options are basically given to a specific set of users who manage payroll month on month, right? So employees will have an option to payslip. Basically, they can download payslip month on month. Also, employees will have an option to download their Form 16 at the end of the financial year. We also support leaves and attendance. Employees will have an option to keep a track of their leaves and also to mark their attendance on a daily basis, right? Pretty basic feature, how any companies would need. We support on Razorpay X Payroll. Here comes an interesting part. Now that we are at the end of the financial year, this exercise begins by April, right? Pretty much all the employees would need to declare their taxes. So in some of the companies, it happens with the help of Form 12BB in a very traditional method. The same has been replicated on Razorpay X Payroll as well. So employees have an option to download Form 12BB and then re-upload it with the signature. Or if they would like to directly declare under their profile, they can do it. So employees have an option to say, I would like to declare 1,50,000 under Section 80C, another 75,000 towards medical expense, and another 50,000 under this particular, right? So they have an option to declare their taxes based on which their TDS liability will get calculated. And employees will also have an option with regards to the comparison of new tax and old tax regime, right? So by end of March, we will revise the new tax regime as per the updates that we have from the government, right? As per the new norms, it will get updated. So whatever the changes that happens with regards to payroll, right, be it salary structure, PF, ESI, or for TDS, the respective changes will get incorporated on the platform. Also, you will get multiple reminders on your dashboard as and when we make any changes to the platform, right? So employees will have an option to declare, do the comparison between new tax and old tax, and then confirm either one of the regimes, right? They can either choose new or old, and they can confirm their selection. Reimbursements, as I have mentioned earlier, employees will have an option to choose the type of reimbursements, and they can request for reimbursements. We have companies processing reimbursements in less than 5 minutes, right? In most of the companies, reimbursement happens maybe after 40 days or maybe after 30 days. Here we have kept it very simple. Let's say morning 9 o'clock, employees request for reimbursements. It goes for approval to the manager. If manager approves, if there is a sufficient funds in Razorpay X Payroll within 5 minutes, the reimbursement amount would get credited to an employee bank account, right? And you have an option whether to do reimbursements along with the salary or do it on a real-time basis, right? So these are some of the benefits an employee would get when they log into Razorpay X Payroll: to declare their taxes, to download Form 16, to mark their attendance, apply for leaves, also to download payslips and apply for reimbursements, right? So that's pretty much it about the platform. Before I close the session, I would like to touch upon some of the integrations that we have, right? We don't function as a traditional payroll company, right? We don't stop only at payroll in terms of calculations and taking care of the compliances. We also extend our services in terms of bunch of other mediums. For an example, we provide an option for companies to purchase insurance, right? I think nowadays it's pretty much common for all the companies to insure their employees, right? So we support that. Instead of a business working with a dedicated payroll vendor and then an insurance vendor separately, we try to bridge the gap, and using Razorpay X Payroll itself, companies have an option to choose an insurance plan and take a look at the estimate, and they can finalize the plan. Since we have employees payroll basic information, it becomes quite easy for purchasing insurance. We also have tied up with a bunch of other partners like Zoho people. So if your clients are using Zoho HRMS, that can be integrated with Razorpay X Payroll. We also support WhatsApp communications, right? Payslip can be given to employees via WhatsApp. Employees can request for reimbursements using their WhatsApp account. It has become quite interesting with our existing database because everyone pretty much use WhatsApp, right? So they don't need to log into Razorpay Payroll. They can do it within their WhatsApp. We also support integration with fresh teams for HRMS purposes, also for application tracking system. We have tied up with ClearTax for Form 16. We also have integrated with accounting tools like QuickBooks. Soon we will have integrations with Zoho as well. We are also working with Tally to get the integration done. So these are some of the apps on which we have done successful integrations. You may also purchase biometric from us, and your clients would have an option to install the biometric devices at their location for attendance purpose, right? So that's pretty much it. Let me begin with the questions. I think some of the questions were around the commercials, right? So for clients who are directly signing up, we offer them 1 month of free payroll. For the first month, no charges. After 1 month, we charge 100 per employee per month, right? Let me try to show you some of the decks that we have. But here we are discussing more from a partnership perspective, right? So what happens is for our partners who are signing up with Razorpay Payroll, we have a slightly different pricing plan for them. We onboard them as a bronze partner, right? We offer them 1 month of free payroll. Earlier it was 3 months. So for your initial 1 to 9 clients, we offer you a base price of 70 per employee per month, right? But you can charge your client at 100. So the remaining 30% will be considered as the referral bonus, and that the same will be calculated on a quarterly basis, and it will be credited to your account on a quarterly basis, right? So once you have 10 plus accounts on Razorpay Payroll, you will be upgraded to silver partnerships, where your referral fee will be considered at 40%. So your partner base price will be 60 per employee per month, and if you charge your clients at 100, we share 40% of the revenue with our partners, along with some of the exciting rewards worth of like watch or phones, as and when you upgrade your accounts to silver and gold. A gold membership is when you have 35 accounts with us, where we share a referral fee of 50%, right? Basically your partner base price is 50. You have an option to sell the platform at 75 or even 100, and based on which the commission will be calculated and will be credited to you on a quarterly basis, right? Let me Virag, if you could, for some reason I'm not okay. It's under the questions, is it? I'm not able to see the questions under chat.
Suraj, you can open the question tab.
Question, yes, I have. Okay.
So one question is, how does company maintain the client and employee data confidentiality and security? What is the pricing for the same? Do we have some discount? So all those type of questions we have, and there are more question is also there.
I would like to,
I request all the attendees to post their question in the question tab. Surajji will answer one by one. Over to you, Surajji.
Sure, awesome. So we have a very strict policy when it comes to the data security, right? Because we are talking about a very sensitive payroll information for thousands of clients. I mean, we are pretty much certified with all the data privacy policy, like SO, C2, and PSI certified. And we also use pretty much high-end hosting servers to keep our data safe. Also, we sign a non-disclosure agreement, right, to ensure there is a data security between both the parties, between your clients and Razorpay Payroll. So we are pretty much covered when it comes to keeping your data secure, because we have a base of 5,000 clients actively using payroll, and we have about 1 lakh plus employees getting their payroll processed using Razorpay X Payroll, right? So data security isn't a big concern, and so far we have not ran into any sort of issues. So not yet. I think, are you going to cover income tax on earnings from crypto along with salary? A good question. I think off lately we have some clear understanding in terms of how cryptocurrency earnings should be considered for taxes. But cryptocurrency is something that doesn't come under payroll, right? It is like more of an earnings that an employee has made outside out of their own interest. So we don't have any plans to consider earnings from crypto under tax yet, but worth exploring. So what are the partnerships options? As I have mentioned earlier, we onboard you as a bronze partner to begin with. So where you will have about 1 to 9 clients. As in when you have more number of clients on our platform, you will get more referral bonus with the reward and goodies along with the membership upgradation. Syed, you may share the sign up link. I think some people have shown interest in terms of where to sign up. I will ask my colleague Syed to share the link where you can explore.
Hey, Suraj, I am actually unable to post the link for the entire audience. Virajji, I would just like request you to share the link again, please.
Okay.
Yes, we have shared more 3-4 times. Right away, also we have shared one more time.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think there's a question on name of the payroll software. It is Razorpay X Payroll. That's the name of the platform. Yes, a good question. Can we
during the session we'll share the PPT along with this partnership link as well in their mail. So be assured with that. And as of now, also we have shared you can immediately sign up, or you can save the link and you can sign up later on.
Awesome. Yes. Can we add payroll clients like Tally client addition? Yes, of course. What I have shown you is more of a dashboard for an individual client. So usually for our partners, we give this switch organization option, wherein you have an option to switch between multiple accounts, company A, company C, because you may be managing 10 different clients on Razorpay X Payroll, right? So you may not need to have 10 different credentials. Instead, we will give you a partner dashboard on which you can switch between all the clients that you have. And within the dashboard itself, you have an option to add a new client. So there will be a quick link. Let's say onboard a client. Once you click on it, you just need to type in the name of the client and it will get mapped to yours. What is the cost of the software? Like I've mentioned earlier, I think it begins at 100 per employee per month. But for our partners, we offer them a deal of 70 per employee per month. And then it's up to you whether you want to close the deal at 80, 90 or 100. Good question. What are the maximum number of earnings and deductions are allowed? So we support it in 2 different ways. If you're doing it within the dashboard, you have about up to 3 to 5 for earnings. For deductions, we don't allow any sort of labels. If you're doing it in bulk, we have a Google API sheet. You can even have up to 10 plus earnings, but we have seen the number of instances very less where people would want to have more than 10 labels for earnings and deductions. But you have an option to kind of customize it as per your need. Yes, all the reports, can we download the detailed statement in Excel? Yes, all the reports can be downloaded. So whatever the report that I have shown, all these can be downloaded as per your need. Yes, do we have an option in Razorpay to add multiple clients under one license? Yes, as I've mentioned earlier, using your partner dashboard, you have an option to add multiple clients. Right, data security, like I've mentioned earlier, we are compliant with all sort of data security certifications. So will payroll be free for startups or SMEs, right? So basically the question is more in terms of what are the different options when it comes to pricing. We also support a free plan, by the way. Free plan is something companies can choose. It has a very basic options. For an example, if I go to payroll official website, so these are the free plan option where we don't charge anything. But under free plan, we don't basically support any sort of compliances. We don't support compliance payments and filings, but the calculation of compliances happens. We basically support payroll processing, HR management, along with money transfer of salaries. That's pretty much it. So you can explore. We have seen some of the companies beginning with free plan, and then later they switch to a pro plan. Yeah, I think we spoke about this. For CAs, we have a discounted rate, which will be circulated later over an email. Yeah, again, we spoke about this. Gratuity payments, good question. Do we support gratuity calculation and the payments? We don't support the gratuity payments and the fund management yet, but we support the calculation of gratuity as and when there is a dismissal that's happening, right? So if you go to any of an employee profile, there is an option to dismiss an employee, right? So once you click on dismiss, we do the calculation of gratuity if the employee has spent more than 5 years, but not the fund management yet. That's quite a complicated process, but we are exploring that as well. Okay, some of these questions have been repetitive. How many employees' data can be used in the software at the maximum? Our biggest customer is Unacademy. They have about 4,500 employees, right? And we are also in talks with some of other customers with employee count of 5,000 and 7,000 above. So currently we don't have any deadline or any maximum count in terms of employee count. Even up to 10,000, 15,000, they would be a right fit for Razorpay Payroll. Yeah, so is there any one-time installation charges? This is the best part about Razorpay Payroll. We don't have any setup and maintenance charges, right? Apart from the monthly fee that I've spoken about, 100 per employee per month. Apart from that, we don't have any other charges. Yeah, it's a cloud-based platform. It's not. It's a cloud-based, not your desktop-based application, right? Everything happens on cloud. You have a common login on which you can access all of your sub accounts. And we have something, the option of department in the working in one of the location. Yeah, I think the question is, if I'm not wrong, it's more towards, can I have departments updated on an employee profile? Yeah, the answer is yes. On an employee profile, you have an option to choose the departments and the title of each and every employee, based on which you can also pull out reports. And you also have an option to skip employees based on departments, right? If you have an employee count of 200 plus on Razorpay Payroll, and what we have seen is in some companies, they may do payroll only for finance department first. They may do payroll for sales department later. So you have an option to bulk skip employees based on the department as well, right? Yeah, so the platform name is Razorpay Payroll. Is payroll can be maintained separately or Tally software sufficient? Yeah, like I have mentioned, you may be doing your payroll calculation using platforms like say Paybooks or Tally or any other platform, but those platforms would not help you with the payments and filings, right? So that's where Razorpay Payroll stands out in terms of taking liability of such payments along with the calculation part. And by the way, we have a lot of customers moving in from traditional systems. Reason being, we support the payments and finance. Yeah, so there are good number of payroll. I think the question is which are the cheap and best payroll processing software available in the market. There are, I think you may check the payroll competitors of Razorpay X Payroll. There are some quite a good number of companies out there, but most of the platforms would have a charges of 50 to 100 per employee per month without the payments and compliance part. Uh, so we facilitate those payments and the compliances. Is there any other questions, Virag? I think I pretty much covered all the questions. Feel free to post it
Yes.
on group.
Yes, you have covered all the questions. We don't have any unanswered question as of now. Would like to request participants if still they have any question, they can post in the question tab. Meanwhile, Surajji, you can share the screen, share the link on the screen on a Word format or anything like that. Only link will be visible about that partnership link.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure this is not on the common group, the file that I'm showing. Virag, is it okay? I will share it with you offline, and then along with the email, it would be great if you can attach it.
No issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you, Surajji, Sanjita ji, Sayedji, and also Varunji for the fantastic session and a marathon session. And you people have covered all the questions, and there is no unanswered question, which is very rare in a webinar format that people has an unanswered question or kind of, because generally it's a one way only. But you people had given a fantastic uh, uh, coverage of the entire session, initially with the theory part and the importance of the laws and what actually required for payroll, and after that the technology aspect, and including the bank payment with a few clicks. So it's just 2 or 3 days role, just few data, absentee and the present absent data, and after that immediately the entire payroll of a monthly payroll is ready, and it's a monthly revenue for the chartered accountant as well. So a fantastic session, Surajji. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You would
Thanks
like to share something here?
It was quite interesting to look at the segment in terms of how is it beneficial for chartered accountants to look at payroll as a segment. I think a lot of chartered accountants have shown recently interest towards how can they expand their number of service lines, and payroll is a good opportunity for them. Thanks a lot to Mr. Varun Nirmal for a detailed walkthrough on how CAs can take benefit of offering payroll as a service, and for all the questions from the participants. I think it was a very sensible questions, right? Regarding how payroll would be beneficial for them, some technical questions towards the data security parts and so on. And thanks a lot, Virag, for organizing such a interesting session for us. Looking forward to more from you.
Yes, it's absolutely our pleasure to invite you and showcase the technology aspect of a payroll, and it will definitely help all the chartered accountant who want to start a new revenue stream in their offices, payroll as in service. So thank you once again, Surajji, Sanjitaji, Sayedji, and Varunji for the fantastic session, and also Amiyaji. In his absence, yeah, he's traveling, he is not able to join, but he has a great role in organizing the entire session. So thank you, Ameya once again. And with this, we are concluding our today's session. Thank you so much, all the attendees for joining. Who is joining late, would like to request to view entire session on YouTube on Connect Easy channel. You can watch that. If any question or query will be there, you can post us also. And Surajji, Sanjitaji, and Sayedji is also available, and Varunji is also with us. So we can together solve your queries, and will help you to build a new stream, a new revenue stream in your office as an payroll. Thank you so much once again for joining us today. And we'll have a more session. We have a session on bank audit, how to do bank audit using technology on 28th March. Would like to request everyone to join that session also if it's of your interest, if you are doing also a bank audit. Any bank audit you can join, whether statutory, concurrent, or any other type of. We have a past president, Amarjit Chopra sir is our keynote speaker. We have a Dungar Chand Jain sir, past chairman SIRC, also is our guest speaker. So it's also again a fantastic session on 28th March, Tuesday, again evening session. Thank you so much all the attendees. With this, we are closing today's session. Thank you all.
Yep.
Thank you.